Well, guys, hi. This is the new year, so happy New Year to all you guys. Hope it was a wonderful celebration of 2022 and a great start for 2023. So, welcome back to Real Estate Analysis 101. I am Paul Hunter. I am a realtor here in Houston, and I've been here for about 7 years. I'm from Colombia, South America, so I know a little bit about high inflation, high interest rates, and high unemployment. Today, we'll be covering some information on Redfin and what's going on with the housing again. So first things first, I am not a financial advisor, but I do appreciate if you like, subscribe, and comment on my YouTube channel. I like even the bad or the adverse comments or suggestions. I will learn from those, and I would truly appreciate all your comments. As always, I like to start with two things. The first thing is I'm not a doom and gloom kind of guy. I'm just the facts. I know that a lot of people are talking that we're in a housing crisis. I don't think we are. I mean, we may end up there, as I said a number of times, but I don't think we're there yet. The facts just do not bear that out. The trouble is that if enough people get into this mindset that we're going to be in a housing crisis, well, guess what? Everybody will start acting in that way, and we'll end up with a self-fulfilling prophecy of having a housing crisis. So remember this: economics is mainly the result of the psychological alignment of a critical mass of human thought and activity. So I think that one of the most important things we can start off with is, again, the definition of whether it's a balanced market, a buyer's market, or a seller's market. Traditionally, the definition of a balanced market is if we have 6 months of inventory. That means that if no new listings come on the market, it will take us 6 months to sell those listings. That's a balanced market. Anything less than that, it's a seller's market. Anything more than that is a buyer's market. So right now we are at around nationally about 3%. Well, that's 3 months. I'm sorry, 3 months of inventory. That's solidly a seller's market. Now, there are a number of things that are affecting sales, and it's a housing recession, but it's not a housing crisis, and that's what I want people to understand that. It might get there. Again, it might get there. I don't think it's there yet. So the first things I wanted to talk about is we have a sales plunge of 35% in November. And that's the biggest decline on record. So this is the biggest decline since 2012, since Redfin started taking care of that. So let's read a little bit about this to see where we're at in this particular statistic. Home sales posted the biggest annual decline on record in November as the housing market ground to a near standstill in the face of of the rising mortgage rates, according to the data released Thursday by Redfin. Home sales fell 35.1% annually in November, according to the data released by Redfin. This is the biggest drop since that brokerage started tracking the metric in 2012, as we said before. Now, this is an important part, and this is what I've been talking about a number of times. November also saw the price growth slow significantly. The average U.S. home sale price grew by 2.6% from the previous year, the smallest rate of growth since the pandemic ground the U.S. economy to a halt in 2020. New listings slumped, falling 28.4% year over year, also the biggest drop seen since April of 2020. Despite the drop in new listings, overall inventory for sale grew by 4.6% year over year, suggesting that the homes are sitting on the market longer while less homes are being listed. So two things that stand out here. The first one is important to understand. When they say the home price growth declined, it doesn't mean that the home prices declined. It's the rate of growth decline. In other words, we're seeing less valuation for the same home. So again, if you bought your home 5 years ago for round numbers, $200,000, and you sell it today for $220,000, you made $20,000 on it, right? If you had sold it a year ago, maybe 6, 7, or 8 months ago, you might have gotten 240. So again, how does your mind work? Did you lose 20 because you could have sold it for 240 and you sold it today for 220? Or did you make 20? Now, who's right and who's wrong? I'm a numbers guy, so to me, you made 20 because you paid 200 and you sold it for 220. A lot of people unfortunately see it as losing 20 because they could have sold it for 240, but they didn't. So they're looking at it and their mind tells them that they lost 20,000, so they feel like they lost rather than gained the 20. Now, the second thing that I'm seeing here is that new listings are down, right? So that's a big thing, but the inventory is growing because what's happening is that those homes that we're selling in less than a month are taking more than a month to sell, maybe 2 or 3 months to sell, which is, again, that's going back to pre-pandemic times, like the 2019 market, which was a very good market. And we did not have this crazy stuff of 10, 12 offers per house and 10, 15%, 5, 10, 15% over asking price. So I think we're back to a more normal, healthier, I think, market, because that way it's going to be homes will become more affordable for more buyers. There'll be more transactions. There'll be more opportunity for people to engage and to get into buying a home. So if you're either buying or investing, it's going to be more affordable. And for sellers, they'll still make a profit. Now, if you bought your home last year, you are not going to make a profit for quite a while. If you sell now, you'll probably be underwater because of other fees when you sell and so on. But if you hold on to your home for the supposed average of anywhere between 5 to 8 or 9 years, you'll be able to sell for a profit. So again, I think that the listings on the market they're not new listings, but there is an inventory growth, mainly because the demand is lower because of the higher interest rates. However, if you just look, interest rates got up to a little bit above 7%. They're now below 6.9 or something. They're 6.5, 6.7%. So I think that there's an interest, a change in the interest rate that will be beneficial for buyers and of course for sellers, because if buyers can get in the market and buy, then sellers are going to make some money. So I think that that's really an important fact to take into consideration. The first thing is the number of homes sold fell, and the rate of growth fell. So I think that we are coming down to again, I hate to use the word, but normal market, a market where there'll be more transactions, and the more transactions there are, it's a healthier market, because market prices are the more transactions, the truer the value of each transaction becomes, because there's more information, there are more comps that you can use to appraise your home, or to value your home, or to price your home. So I think that this is a really important development, and I don't think it tells us we're in a crisis. It tells us we're in a recession compared to what we had before. Okay, so let's look at a few more stats that will give us a better feel for what we can expect for 2023. So again, we saw that the market, the number of home sales plummeted 35.4%. That's between November of 2021 and November 2022. This is from the National Association of Realtors. This is a different source, but we came up with the same information. This is an important part of the market. Open Door and a lot of the iBuyers had skewed the market a lot, because they were paying above market prices, because they had the idea that they could corner the market, and then they become rentals, and they would become the rental economy. They lost a lot of money. They priced themselves. They priced the whole market out of. They were a factor, not the only factor, but a huge factor in buying, the buying frenzy and increasing the price of homes way beyond what the market value again should have been. That that's a good thing for the buyers, for the regular buyers. Now that if you're a stockholder in Open Door and so on, maybe not, but in general, what's happening is that they're losing a lot of money, and that means what's the reason that's happening is because they're having to liquidate a lot of their holdings to pay off loans and to pay operating costs, and they're just losing money on it. And every transaction that they make, it's at a loss. They paid more than they're getting for at the sale. So if you sold to an iBuyer last year, congratulations. You may be then if you're going to be buying from an iBuyer this year, congratulations, because you'll be buying at a better price. In 2022, we had the increase of the interest rates slowed down demand and price growth, which is what we saw before. However, inflation is retreating, and so if that happens, the Fed will not put the screws on the market as much by raising the interest rates, and then that will help bring down slightly the mortgage rates. So iBuyers trying to their business model, going back to iBuyers, is to go after the agent's commission. And everybody, oh, the agents are making too much money for what they do. Well, they realize that as agents, we do a lot of work and we don't get paid until we actually deliver. In other words, we perform. Once the property is closed, we get paid. If we don't close, we are still out our costs, and yet we don't get paid for that. And so I know it sounds self-serving, and I mean, and yeah, there are some realtors are better than others. I'm not going there with that. But the truth of the matter is that if you compare what a realtor does for the commission, it's actually a very good value for your money. The iBuyers thought that they could squeeze the agents out by offering sellers a 1% commission. What they didn't tell you is that there's 7 or 8 or 9 or 10% fees, and those fees were either in fees or they would inspect the house after the contract and find all of these deficiencies that they wanted you to pay for. So what would happen, they would reduce the price. So you ended up losing some of that savings, so forth. In most cases, you lost it all. So it would have been the same or worse than going with a traditional real estate agent. So there's a reason we charge a commission. And we do a lot of work on, but maybe we should, that's a topic for a different video, but we do, and again, I don't want to sound self-serving, but we do do a lot of work for that, and provide value, provide information. And the iBuyers were trying to get us out of the way. Let's keep going down with our stats for last year. We can see here that real estate layoffs are up. Around 18,000 jobs have been lost during the last year, and that's just real estate workers. So it doesn't say whether it's agents. It's probably not agents. Probably people that work at Compass, Redfin, Zillow, or Blend, just regular employees. This is an important stat because of the interest rates. On average, we had $888 increase in the ownership of a home. So we're expecting that comes down a little bit when the interest rates come down. But also, I think it's important for people to understand that interest rates of 2%, 3%, 4% are historically so low that's not gonna come back for a while. That one, I don't have a crystal ball either, but if it comes back, it's not necessarily a good thing. It means that the economy may be in really dire straits, and the Fed is stimulating the economy by reducing the interest rates. So another important stat is to think of rents. That's what the iBuyers were expecting. Rents have slowed their roll, so that it's 8.4% instead of we were going up 19 and 20% last year. Well, 17 according to NAR. So in just between October and November, rents declined 0.4%, according to Zillow. Now, another important part we need to this is what I'm talking about one more time. The price growth decreased by 10.1%. Again, the price growth, not necessarily the price of a home. So if you bought a home 3, 4, or 5 years ago, your home did not go down in price by 10%. It's probably way up. It's just that what you could have gotten is 10% and it's 10% more than what you could get today. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. Please don't go crazy, because some people are going to be really scared because, oh, my house has lost 10%. No, the potential lost 10%. Let's see another thing. Expensive sales. So here we go. The typical home value is $357,000. Now that's the average. That's grown from the year before. It's grown every year. So if you're looking at this number, it's still higher. I mean, maybe that's not your home, but what I'm saying is that your home has appreciated. And even though we're going through a turmoil in the market right now, it has not lost its value. That's really important to take that in consideration. Now, that's the average. The average price is $357,000. What that means is that if you took all the homes, the value of all the homes sold in the United States last year, divided by the number of homes, you get 357,733. The median sales price is higher, and what that means is that half the homes were above that price and half the homes were below that price. So it's an important data point that you could consider. Either one is going to be higher than it was 2 years, 3 years, 4 years ago. So your home is probably worth more than it was 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. Now, the last one that we need to, this is an important one. The mortgage rates have peaked already at 7.5%. They have not hit that again. They've been actually coming down a little bit. So there'll be buyers coming back into the market because the interest rate went up to 7.5%. They're coming down to right around 6.5, 6.7, depending obviously on your financial picture. And there's also a lot of buy downs and things like that the lenders are coming out with to make it easier for a buyer to qualify and to purchase a home. So something to consider. It's definitely coming. It's coming around to a more normal market in terms of the interest rates. We probably see a little bit lower, but not a whole lot lower than what it is already. Now, and this is important if you're selling. We have our days on market increased to 37 days. Now, that's a month. And remember what the definition of a balanced market is: 6 months inventory. We have slightly over 1 month. That's not a whole lot. So it's still a seller's market. So if you are a seller, you should consider selling. It's not. Again, it depends on your situation. We've talked about this a number of times. If you need to sell, it's a good time to sell. If you don't need to sell, then it's not a good time to sell. You don't need to. It's not something that you're going to be. It's going to become advantageous because it's not something that you need to do at this point. So if you're a buyer, conditions are helping you a little bit. Probably waiting for a little bit more. And again, if you need to buy, it's still a good time to buy. There's some inventory out there. And the most important thing for a buyer is that you won't have as much competition. So that means that you won't be paying above list price. In fact, in Houston, I'm not, the rest of the country is a little bit different, but in Houston, we're starting to see price list prices coming down before they actually get a contract, and then paying less than the new list price. So buyers have opportunities out there. If you need to buy and you can qualify, talk to your lender. Definitely, it's a good time to buy, simply because you will not be facing 10, 12, 8, whatever number of competitors for the same house. So I think we're getting to a place where the market is becoming much more normalized, and it'll be better for all those people involved. Okay, so this is another piece of information that I think we should take into consideration. And what it's telling us is, according to Inman, this is another important source of information for real estate. It says that 2023 housing market will be a real estate reckoning. Now, what the economists and other housing experts are predicting is that the market will be more balanced among buyers and sellers, which I was saying before. We won't have all those crazy competitive bidding wars for the same property, but there will be transactions. There'll be people out there buying, and there'll be people selling. So home prices won't change much while mortgage interest rates continue to dip. In other words, the price of the homes aren't changing from what you purchased it at, and the interest rate will continue to come down. Okay, so mortgage rates. What this is the Mr. Lawrence Yun. He's the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors. We started the year at 3.2% interest for a 30-year fixed mortgage, and it went up to more than 7% in October for the first time in more than 2 decades. But it has begun to decline. Now, experts differ on how much lower they expected for this year, but it will be lower. Now, I doubt we'll get down to like the 2 or 3% that most people are used to, but at least Lawrence Yun, he is expecting the rate to settle somewhere around the 5.7%. So we'll see. Now that's really important. Matthew Gardner, which is the chief economist for Windermere, predicts that the rates will stay above 6% until the fall of 2023, and then dip into the high 5% range, which he noted was still more than 2% lower than the historic average. Now, this is what people forget. People forget that interest rates at 2, 3, and 4% are so unusual. They're really an anomaly. Now, I realize that for a lot of people, that's all they know. So it becomes something that is hard to deal with, because people are starting to see different numbers, and it freaks them out. It's totally understandable. But the reality is that the historic interest rate is somewhere around 7.2%. If you take all of the interest rates throughout, whatever the record started in 1920 or whenever it is, we're looking at 7%. And I have a chart that I'll show you here. Okay, here's what I wanted to show you: the mortgage rates annual. The historic number, I was wrong. It's not 7.2, it's 7.8. Now, I understand that if you're used to seeing 2.6% last year, 3.2, or even the low 4s, looking at 7% is almost double. And of course, that is something that would freak you out. And so the psychology behind it is that people are thinking, oh my God, this is crazy. So until you get used to that new normal, it's gonna paralyze people, because it'll make people afraid to buy because of the uncertainty compared to what they were coming in at. They had all this certainty that the interest rates should always be low, not even a big factor in purchasing a home. It was more of a price. But as I said before in other videos, you marry the home, you date the price, the interest rate. I'm sorry. Why is that? Because if you find the home you want, at a price that you can live with, and the interest rate's a little bit high, if the interest rate go up, you'll look like a genius. You got that interest rate at a lower rate. If the interest rate come down, you can always refi, and then you still have the home that you wanted. So just to conclude, I think the home prices could become slightly more affordable. We're going to have lower interest rates, lower home list prices, which means that there will be more opportunities for buyers, and lower inflation. If we can keep that inflation monster tamed, I think that the rest of the things will stand in, will sort of find the place, and the psychology behind it is, if the inflation, because inflation is such an insidious thing, it's taking away, stealing your money, stealing your value, your worth, because today a dollar is worth more than a dollar tomorrow. And so anyway, my thought is we're going to see a little bit better home prices, better interest rates, better inflation. I'm not saying great. We're still going to be in a recession. We're still going to have a slowdown of the economic activity. But if you can keep your head in the game, and your head and look at the data rather than the panic and the gloom and doom purveyors of fear porn, as they call it now, you won't make any rash decisions about buying or selling a home. So I hope you get some value from this video. Please let me know in the comments. You guys know I want you to gain the understanding of the psychology behind economics, and so you can make better real estate decisions. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a realtor from Houston that wants to share my insights, so you can learn from my successes and especially from my mistakes. So when you're out there, be good or be careful, and if you can't, be both.